Brilliant from Kennedy. Couldn't resist the shot, and it's gone in off the defender!
The chairman, you lose your little player. And it's in, it's a goal from Gilmour. Jimmy Gilmour has scored for Falkirk.
Finnegan's cross, Stephen Thompson! Falkirk have the lead after a quarter of an hour.
McKenzie slips, it goes straight to McGuffey. McGuffey shoots from his own half, and that is incredible!
He's taking them all on here. Catch him if you can. You can't. That is amazing. That is phenomenal. A touch of individual inspiration from Kevin McAllister.
This is Falkirk Daft.
Dylan Tait's a champion, oh. Dylan Tait's a champion, oh. Hello and welcome to Falkirk Daft. Another one down and 3 more to go until we can say we are invincible after Hamilton were once again swept aside. Minus 22 points now, boys. Mind the gap. We're going to talk about the Hamilton game, but first let's introduce the Ginger God of Bod himself, the one-man band in the main stand, Mr. Rospitality, who's back in there on Saturday, by the way. It's Ross Wayne.
It's the last one of the season next week. Last one.
Mate, I think you've been in hospitality more times than Aidan Nesbitt scored goals this season.
Must be there.
He's double figures now. Aidan's into double figures now, so
yeah, I think I'm into double figures now as well. Actually, yeah.
You know what your season ticket is?
I do. It's a cracking seat I've got as well. But
yeah, you just don't like it.
I think we need to move back to the Kevin McAllister.
I see. There's been a lot of chat between us about moving. There'll be an ongoing debate as we come up towards season ticket renewal. Ross is sort of swaying to going back into the South Stand. I've always been, because back to the Brockville days as well, you know, when you were in the choir and the wing stand, I've always enjoyed that view of the football, just getting to see it from I like that kind of side-on view. I've never been a fan of, I know a lot of people swear by Hope Street and, they'll swear by South Stand. I've never liked that because I just don't think you get to see the other end.
I love our view. See where our seats are just now.
Amazing. Great. Brilliant. Plus, you see all the dugout stuff because we were right behind the dugouts. You see all the dugout activity as well, which I love. See all that.
I, in an ideal world, I think I'd like to be over the other side, facing the main stand. In an ideal world, so you've got the same view, but you're at that side, and it would then take us back to the sort of going back to the Brockville thing. You'd be facing the main stand. You'd have the home end to your left, away fans to your right. I think that would be the best, but we're not in that position yet anyway. So
I know. Why? Listen, this will be a fierce debate over the summer because I've got a funny feeling it's going to be very interesting. I've heard yesterday the Ultras are going to be getting moved into the middle from the South Stand.
Oh, I've never heard that.
I don't know. Somebody told me yesterday that they were thinking about moving in the Ultras and into the middle, which would make sense. And the South Stand's unreserved anyway, isn't it? Really,
it is. Yep. To be fair, it works where they are, unless they're keen to move. It kind of works where they are.
I guess the feeling is it would spill out either side rather than being far.
That's true.
That side. So,
but then, do you think it would have an impact on? Because obviously they've got the main stand fans more involved this year. Do you think pushing them more that way? Maybe.
Anyway, maybe that's just a rumour I heard yesterday. But that'd be interesting to see if that happens because I know obviously a lot of Ultra supporters, when you look right around Europe and stuff, that's where it tends to happen, doesn't it?
Behind the goals, don't they? Right behind the goals, you do.
But I mean, it is. We've talked about the guys so many times. I've got a point to make later on them actually. But I know obviously it's why if it's broke, why try and fix it.
It was good yesterday though, them being directly.
Do you know what it was? I think it can put you. Obviously, let's watch back the highlights on the telly, and it was really loud yesterday.
Yeah,
really loud.
I've watched the highlights a few times.
Have you really?
Yeah, no, you're right though, and it's just you hear the noise and brilliant. Brilliant.
Yeah, I know. Great day, yes. We'll obviously talk about that when we get into the game with our guest pundit Dougy a bit later on in the show. But first of all, thanks to our sponsors. It's the Falkirk Football Fans in Training and the Lava Cup, which is getting held at the stadium 25th of May 2024. Opening ceremony taking place at 11:30. Teams from across the world taking part in this. It's a tournament for over 40s, and it's basically a way of forming friendships, improving fitness and mental well-being. Tagline, creating a pathway to change people's lives through football, which is a great tagline, and that's what the boys at Falkirk Football Fans in Train. Now, I didn't realise this. I was getting talked through I didn't realise. I thought it was just all one team, the Falkirk Football Fans in Train. But apparently, there's a Legends level, an Academy level, and another level as well. So
I didn't know that either, actually.
I didn't know that as well. So I mean, there's plenty of opportunity to get involved. Apparently, it was the older ones didn't want to get called basically the over 50s or whatever. So they put down Legends, which I'm all for as well. But no, listen, Ian, the guys, if you want to get involved, all the links are in the bio. Bo, Dougy, Mark. Get in touch with them. You can get in touch with their Facebook page. And if you fancy getting involved in the Falkirk Football Fans Training, if you want to lose a bit of weight, you just want to improve, I guess, your mental health as well, getting out there on a Monday night, training with the boys, having a laugh, and obviously the bonus is they're in hospitality, just like Ross, all the time. So you'll maybe get a wee invite on to that as well. So yeah, get in touch with the boys. And we are actually going to be playing the Falkirk Football Fans in Training. Now, I thought this'll be no bother. We'll bring in a couple of players. It'll be no bother at all, right? But then I was speaking to Lewis Connolly, our friend, who was involved in the Falkirk Football Fans in Training not so long ago, and he says, there's some players in there, by the way. So I've decided, so it looks like this game is going to happen. Falkirk Daft versus the Falkirk Football Fans in Training. We're hoping it's going to happen the 1st of June at the stadium. More details soon. We'd love to get you down. I've got out the old celebrity contact book, Ross.
Oh, have you?
And
right.
I might have some little surprises up my sleeve of players that might play in that game. Now that I've realised that these guys actually might be very, very good. And then you only realised it was an 11s game yesterday.
Yeah, that this has now panicked me into some sort of health regime for the next 7 or 8 weeks. Yeah, I don't listen. Rolling subs will be the order of the day. I think.
Listen, mate, Scott. Well, you see Scott Martin yesterday. You'll be absolutely fine.
That's very true, actually.
I know that fat shaming Scott Martin, but he was carrying a bit of timber yesterday.
I'll just do what he did. I'll just stick to the centre circle, and that'll be the movement.
There you go. There you go. Aye.
Listen, I can spray the passes for there. It's fine.
Aye. So that's going to be hopefully happening at the 1st of June at Stadium. We'll give you more details. It would be great to get people down to watch the game. We're going to get a charity sorted for that as well. So yeah, keep your ears out over the next couple of weeks, because I've had a couple of people have said, I'd be up for that. Some big celebrities, Scottish celebrities that I know who are willing to get involved in the game. So
does one of them do a very good Ali McCoist impression by any chance?
I couldn't possibly say, but yeah, there might be a few boys involved. And
if anybody out there wants to kick a ball with us, give us a shout as well. Drop us a DM and.
Yeah, I think we're going to have trials, Ross. I think a lot of people want to get involved in this game, so I think we're going to have some sort of interview process to get to. Right. Well, because basically we're needing players. Because I mean,
yeah,
as much as give us maybe 20, 30 years ago, Ross. But we're going to need some legs to run about it.
I think we're going to need a squad of Hamilton sides here, or something like that.
I know. So more details on that coming soon as Falkirk Daft take on the Football Fans in Training. Of course, our end of season party is just about. I can't believe how it's not far away now. 3rd of May behind the wall. All sold out, as we've said before. If you have got a ticket, we're looking for you to wear a retro top down there. I've been going through the old wardrobe. I think I've settled on my retro top, Ross, because I don't think anyone else is going to have this on the night.
Are you going to keep it a surprise? Or are you going to
I will keep it a surprise, because I don't think anyone else is going to wear this tonight. I'll be amazed if someone else has it. I'll be absolutely amazed. And I'll fingers crossed it still fits, because I've not had it out in a year. But yeah, wear your retro top if you're coming down. And we can officially announce our first guest, Ross. I'm very excited.
You're very excited, I can tell.
I'm very excited. Our first guest coming down, we've obviously told you Sam McGivern's going to be there helping us out. Absolute legend at the club. You see his face on the North Stand. But from the current squad, the first person we can announce, the restraining order has been dropped for one night only. Mr. Thomas Lang is going to be joining us at Behind the Wall, and I don't know how I'm going to contain myself.
I don't think you will. I think, there'll be some sort of lawsuit that night against you from him or his wife. So.
Paint me like one of your French ladies, Tom. That's the first question. Tom Lang is going to be joining us at Behind the Wall. We're still waiting to find out. Obviously, there's a lot still up in the air. I think the players we were hoping to have the other name to you, but I think from what I gather, they're so focused on this invincible thing, as you saw yesterday, that they're just going to wait and see. Maybe there might be an injury or something, and that'll probably lead into who comes down tonight. We obviously know Tom's just went through his op there, so get well soon, Tom. And you know, if you,
I've just had an image of you feeding Tom Lang grapes at his bedside.
Listen, I'm here for it, Tom. If you need, I'm here for it. I can come and be your personal nurse.
Bathing? Are you up for bathing?
Do you want to have a bath? I don't know if he's bed. He's in bed running because I saw him at the game yesterday in the dugout.
Yeah, I've just got a coming to America. Just pop up the water. The Royal.
He is going to be. He is going to be at Behind the Wall on the 3rd of May. So looking forward to that, and we'll get some good chat with Tom. So more details on that to come, and we'll see you down there. Also, from our own perspective, we have the Will Vox podcast. Yes, it's coming out this Thursday. We caught up with Will just, it was about 2 or 3 weeks ago now, Ross, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was the end of March. Yep, end of March we caught up with him. Brilliant guy. And he had a lot of good stuff to say about the club, and we've obviously probed him about his time at the club, and obviously a little bit of what he's doing now, and he may or may not have signed a verbal contract with us to re-sign.
Some great stories. We went through like a lot of his teammates. Got some great stories from Will just about his time at Falkirk. So that is going to be available on your podcast feed and on YouTube this Thursday. So look out for that dropping. Charlie Yorkston got in touch with us, Ross, about something that's special that's happening potentially on the last day.
Yeah, but it's not something I've seen on social media yet. However, apparently there's a lot of social media activity around a walk from the steeple to the ground for the Alloa game, aka Trophy Day. And that they're planning to leave the steeple at roughly 1:30 that day, and they're looking for as many Falkirk fans as they can to congregate at the steeple for that time, and then a walk march down to the stadium. As I say, I've not seen it on social media myself yet. However, I'm sure it'll be out there properly in the next coming days as well.
I think that would be really, really nice actually, if you get as many Falkirk supporters walking down, just a big march down to the stadium. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. So that's happening 1:30 on Trophy Day at Steeple, and you get yourself down there. Right, let's get into some club news, shall we? And first of all, I've got to say it's brilliant to be a Bairn, because Falkirk women are going up as well.
Yeah, fantastic news. That's them going up to the Championship as well. Absolutely brilliant.
Fantastic. A double from Super Susie Wyatt again. She is unbelievable. She's absolutely belting it.
Is that the Ronaldo type pose behind you? Is that?
Yeah, there she is there. If you're watching the YouTube version, absolute 4-0 win over Forfar Farmington, and that kind of puts them. Steny are going up as well. Like when you look at the clubs in the district, obviously Steny won League 2 the other week, and that's Steny going up with Falkirk into the Championship, Steny women going up, so it's brilliant for the district. I know you're not a big Steny fan, Ross, but you know. No. But that's brilliant news, and now they're going for the trophy. They've got a guaranteed promotion, but now they're going for that championship to try and echo what the men have done. So fingers crossed. It's quite tight in there between Steny, Forfar and Falkirk. So
and I think I saw that Steny have still to play Forfar and Falkirk have still to play Steny. So it sounds like it's a proper tight there at the top. So hopefully loads of Bairns fans will get along to those games. And we'll share the details of the fixtures on social media.
Yeah,
as
definitely, definitely. Because it'd be great to get the as many Bairns down to support the women. They usually play on a Sunday afternoon, so we'll get the details up. Look out for our socials if you can get down and cheer on the girls. That would be amazing. But well done, Falkirk women, absolutely brilliant. Well done to John McGuinn as well and Callum Morrison. They won Player of the Month and Manager of the Month respectively for the month of March. There was no other contenders really, was there?
It's not, yeah, exactly. Well, there shouldn't have been. I know we had that slight blip against Annan on the 2nd of March. Even then, it was a draw. It's not as if we lost. So more than deserved. And Cal was just phenomenal in March as well. And he's carried on where he left off, really, March and April as well, hasn't he?
Yeah, yeah, he'll be desperate. I mean, I sort of noticed Shanklin obviously got another goal yesterday. Callum will be desperate in these next three games
He will.
to get a goal. Didn't have many chances fall to him yesterday. I mean, there was a couple where he's kind of, he got away. But in terms of actually getting shots in and getting chances yesterday, not much fell to him yesterday. But I would imagine with two home games and obviously the trip to Annan as well, he will be desperate to
He'll
get.
be all over that. Yeah, he'll be
Aye.
trying to get as many goals as he can. But some phenomenal numbers. Obviously, we talked about it last week about all the the stats and how many goals, how many assists people have got. But as you we were talking about last night, Aidan Nesbitt now in double figures.
Yeah.
Calvin Miller's having a really good goal scoring season. Nearly scored yesterday if it wasn't for the post and the keeper's palm. So yeah, it's just all good things now, isn't it?
It is brilliant. And John McGuinn, obviously, Manager of the Month as well. I think that's the third or fourth time he's won it. I think it's the fourth time, I think.
It's been a few. Yeah, it's been a few. You'd assume he's probably in a shout for April as well, based on
I think if he goes invincible, he's in shout for Manager of the Year for Scotland.
Yes.
I think when you look at, obviously Philippe Clement coming in at Rangers, another at the manager you could talk up is Rhys McCabe, obviously depending on how he's doing. Derek McInnes has obviously done a very good job at Kilmarnock, but if John McGuinn can get Falkirk invincible, he has got a great shout at winning Manager of the Year.
And you'd hope he would have. And you're right, there's a few other contenders who have done really good jobs across Scottish football this year, but to go invincible, this is a once in a lifetime. If that, this is a once in a lifetime situation for him, the players, the club, us. See when you even speak to people who don't really care about football, like if I think like Gillian, my wife, she has no interest. However, she knows about the invincible. She hears it, she sees it in social media, she hears us talking about it, and it's such a huge thing that has generated an awful lot of headlines and stuff, right? Yeah. But if we could do it, this team, John McGlynn and the team will be talked about for 40, 50 years. And in fact, for those that have listened to the Falkirk official podcast, John McGlynn talks about it. He's like, listen, and he obviously does. He says it in a joking way, but he's like, listen, these boys will be going to dinners in 40 years' time when John's not even here to talk about this season. So let's fingers crossed that is exactly.
I've said it before. It doesn't matter what league you're in. To go invincible, it's absolutely incredible. Actually, we did have someone correct our stats. You know how we had the stats last week? Kilmarnock have actually went invincible as well back in the day. I think I'm just checking who sent me that because, someone did correct us on that. But I mean, any level, any league, to go invincible as a team is incredible. And like John McGuinn, it's a great listen. We're hoping to speak to John ourselves. And I was like, oh, Jesus, they've stole all the good questions. They've stole all the questions I was going to ask. So I'll have to think of just random questions to ask John McGuinn now. We're going to hopefully speak to John. But it was a great listen. Him and Paul, they just ooze football, and they're very, in terms of the supporters, in terms of the players they've got around them, they're very complimentary about everything, and you've got to, they did say when they came here it's going to be a 2-year job, and it's proven to be right,
Fair play to them. Yeah, fair play to them. That's exactly how it's panned out. You're right. You could listen to the two of them talk for hours. And we, as you mentioned, we're going to have the privilege to talk to them again because we caught up with them both last season, and we'll do that ahead of the last game of the season this year. You're right. We're going to need to think up some really good questions for that one, but you know us, we'll spice it up
We'll spice it up a wee bit. And just a word of warning. If you are making an unlicensed product to sell online, the club have said they're just to make you aware, okay, they do not have permission to use the club's brand and therefore profiting on the club supporters. No money getting paid into the club, right? So if you want to see something in the club store, you get in touch with Joanne, joanne.houghton at falkirkfc.co.uk. If you see something that you like, take it and then I'll put it in the club store. With that being said, though, we've got a competition to win a print of the champions, which is done as Sabutio. It was Matthew J. Wood did this. Maybe you won't see it I'm holding it up if you're watching YouTube, but basically it's the Falkirk team as Sabutio, and it's a lovely, lovely print, and we've got that to win today. So if you want to win it, this is how you're going to do it, right? Because we did this before, and look out for this on socials. All you've got to do, because it's Sabutio, is turn a Falkirk player into a game, right? So here's an example for you, Ross. Monopoly Miller.
I like that.
You like that? You like that?
I do. I'm trying to think of one off the cuff.
Yeah, I know. I'll put you on the spot here. Right,
Yeah,
you just have a think. As the podcast progresses, you just keep putting your little brain round, and then we'll come back. We'll come back to you then. See if we come up with one. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's all you have to do. Look out for the socials to win this fantastic print from Matthew J. Wood Design. It's great. I've got one, and I've stuck it up in the toilet because I'm not allowed to put any other Falkirk merch anywhere else in the house. You've got my little toilet with all my Falkirk merch on. There is a sign top from back in the day. Remember when we went to, I think it was it Andy Laurie's testimonial we went to dinner, and I got done by Frank McAvenny, remember?
Yes, I do. Yeah,
and my face went pale when I realised, like, in early 20s, I just spent £300 on a signed Falkirk top because Frank McAvenny just went, sold! I was like, what? So, never put your hand up unless you're ready to commit to the product. So,
go back to that dinner. Frank McAvenny one. Do you remember when we arrived at the time?
My God, Ross! I don't even. Generally, like,
he was standing outside having a smoke, wasn't he? And then as soon as he got out of the car, Frank, where's the buds?
It was. I was embarrassed for you. I was just like, oh my God, sorry, Frank. Jesus. But anyway, if you're getting back to the comp, look out for our socials, and if you want to get it, just DM us or put it on social media. Turn a Falkirk player into a game. That's what we'll do, and we'll give you the best one. Will be announced in next week's show to win this fantastic Champions print. And if you like merch, unlicensed merch, you can buy Falkirk Daft merch. Merch at falkirkdaft.co.uk. Just so merch.
We don't use the logo, though.
We don't use the logo. We do not use the logo. However, all the money that we do make off the merch does go back into the club and not into our pockets. Generally, we're obviously sponsoring the captain's armband, we're sponsoring tops, we're sponsoring a bit of the pitch. Just Ross, whatever Ross can get his hands on, we sponsor pretty much. And as I say, my wife's like, "Are you making any money at this podcast?" I'm like, "No, not really." No. And I actually, behind the wall night, basically is paying for our captain's arm sponsorship next season as well. Yeah. Fingers crossed that happens. So yeah, but yeah, if you want to get any Falkirk Daft merch before the end of the season, merch.falkirkdaft.co.uk. Right, before we get into the game, me and Ross have been talking about this. We've been back and forth about the club put out obviously an email. I've talked about this before, you know, the constant asking money for the supporters, but they put this out on Friday, just looking again for, I think obviously the aim has always been get back into Premier League by 26-27, so they've kind of pointed out from 2010 to 2017, player sales generated an extra 400,000 income, and it's basically about plugging that gap, because we know that we don't have the academy, the likes of Stephen Kingsley, Murray Wallace, all these players, you know, Conor McGrandles. I mean, you go through a list of players. Bottle Piabi went to Swansea. You know, the Fulton.
Swansea bought a player like almost every summer.
I know, it's amazing. And Jay Fulton, all these players. So there's a gap to fill in the meantime. So the club are obviously asking, first and foremost, join the Falkirk Support Society if you haven't done that already. Contribute whatever you can from £10 upwards each month. You can become an Academy patron. This is the new scheme they've launched, from £100 to £1,000 per month. So basically, you will then be putting your money directly into the Academy. You can contact Kenny Jameson at falkirkfc.co.uk or Keith Gourley at falkirkfc.co.uk. And the one thing they have asked, and this is from the fan survey, that 2/3 would be willing to pay extra for the season tickets. So I think if you filled in the Falkirk Support Society, it said, would you be willing to pay 60 quid extra? And that looks like it's going to happen, Ross.
Yep, there's an option there. Obviously, it's brilliant that the club have agreed to, committed, to free season ticket prices, just as they talked about at the start of this season. Because that, if you think back to this time last year, John, the season was not going in the healthiest of ways, was it? We were coming up, we'd just been knocked out the cup semi. We had the playoffs to look forward to, but then obviously that didn't go well against Airdrie. And yeah, at that time, season tickets were probably going to take a bit of a dip. But as we always do, the Falkirk fans rallied and the club committed to freezing season tickets prices for this next season, regardless of whether we're up or down. Sorry, not up or down, but in League One or in the Championship. Yeah. But yeah, so they asked the question as part of the FSS survey. 2/3 have come back and said that they'd be quite happy to pay a bit more. With an additional voluntary contribution that would go straight to the budget as well. So, as they've said, so supporters will therefore have the option to buy a Manager's Fund season ticket for an extra £60, or add a donation onto a regular price ticket, including the currently free under-12 season tickets as well. All extra funds will directly supplement the playing budget, so every fan buying an early bird season ticket by the 31st of May can make a direct difference to the squad for next season. So I think for those that can and are able, it sounds like a decent chunk intimated they would. That could be a massive difference for the budget for next year. It really could. I know we've talked about it quite a bit since the email came out on Friday.
Yeah.
I want a Falkirk Football Club team to be in the Premier League, right? That's for me, and I know it's the same for you as well. You want to be watching the biggest games. You want to be the biggest we can be. I think it's good that there are different ways for people to get involved should they want. We've talked about it before. People can go and buy a strip, they can go and do the FSS, they can go and buy some hospitality. If they can top up their season ticket, it all makes a massive difference to what we can do. So for me, I think obviously this specifically is all the extra funds directed are going to the playing budget, which is what we want. John McGlynn's talked about signing 3 or 4 players. He intimated, even though he'd had a few Stellas, he intimated that these players would be big name. Sorry, not big name, but big players that were going to improve the squad. That's what we want to hear. That's what we want to see. And if it helps us get out the Championship next year, that's what it's all about.
I mean, I get it, we've talked about it. I get it, right? Because I think the mistake they made last season, not knowing the season that we were going to have, was we're going to free season tickets. I'd expected to pay more going up into a championship, pay more. When you look at the prices, like, I think the KM stand is 252 and the main stand is 276 if you just got a normal main stand season ticket.
Yep, that's right. Yep, that's
when
exactly
you look, me and Ross have been chatting about this in our group chat all day, and it's like when you look at Dunfermline, it's 315 and 354 for the main. Wraith Rovers 315, Dundee United 339. So you expect, an upward trajectory in tickets. So if the ticket sales prices were probably on, pardon the pun, but probably on par with the rest of the league, if you add that extra 60 quid to it, my issue is just constantly asking for club. And when we're finding out, obviously, records this, record that, in terms of money getting put into the club, there's never been more money going into the club commercially and from a merch point of view. So that's what it jars me a wee bit, is that we're always constantly, and I get it, because when business is doing well, that's when you capitalise, that's when you go out, because come say mid-season or whatever, and we're down there fighting amongst it, you know, like the money and the goodwill that we have just now is not going to be there. You know, the money, it's harder to get money out of people then. But
Yeah,
it's,
yeah.
and I get that. I get that's why, at this point, the board are constantly coming and asking for money. And that, I just feel it's constant. It just feels, I just would like to get an update without them just going, give us your money, you know?
And John, you and I, we've obviously spoken about this really like a lot,
Yeah.
both on here and privately as well, right? It's our club, and there's as like when Prof was last on Gone Profit a few weeks ago, as he said, there's obviously opportunity there for others to come into the football club and invest, right? Until that ever happens, it's us.
Mhm.
So, and I get it. Like in terms of we spoke about this just earlier on today. The voluntary increase. Sorry, to pay a bit more for the Championship football. It's voluntary. The frozen season ticket prices for those that want to pay that will pay that this coming season. For me, it's no different to going and buying a shirt or buying hospitality or sponsorship. I don't have to do it. If I do it, brilliant. But if we don't, we don't.
Yeah,
And
but
it's
you're getting
no-
something. You're getting something back from when you put that money in. Now, like you say, I think.
Well, you're getting a better player if you're getting better signings if you.
But
if you put
I mean,
money in.
but then. I mean, like it'll
It's true,
go.
though.
We could go around the circles, you know, because gets into fan ownership. And we've talked about that. Obviously, the Motherwell. When you look at the Motherwell situation, they
Yeah.
went out and they did that video, right? Because they've obviously hit a level with their fan ownership as well, where they went right. We need to do something. And hats off to Motherwell, by the way. They went and got the Leith agency, who are one of the top ad agencies in Scotland, and they made that video. And as a result of that, your man who, the vice president of Netflix and his wife, who's basically one of the top dogs at Google. So not only are they getting this investment into the club, they're also getting the expertise of these people. And it's not it's not like someone dodgy. This person, the vice president of Netflix, do you know what I mean? And that's a result of doing that. You know what? So
Absolutely.
it is that, for me, it's thinking outside the box for that sort of investment. You know, obviously, it's a club that's on the up. And this is where, again, we're striking with the fans, but are we striking with, like Motherwell have and have went on, and we don't know what's going on behind the scenes, right? We have no
Well,
idea.
that was going to be my point, John.
Yeah, we don't know what's going on
we
behind
don't
the scenes.
know what conversations have been had or
Yeah,
taking place.
but,
Even
you
when
know,
we had Graham Carbis on, he was talking about, because obviously you had mentioned about not approaching like fourth ports and stuff. They had.
yeah,
Alexander's they had. So we don't know the conversations that have taken place. The one thing we do know is the options that are out there for fans to put money into the club are vast.
yeah,
Whether it's
yeah,
whether it's £1 a week on the lotto that they now do, to the patron academy thing at £100 a month, or £60 on your season ticket, or a £45 top, or whatever the case may be. There's loads of options out there. It's for some, it's not for others. Like we talked about this today. I don't do the 1876 club. Nothing against it.
No.
I just don't do it. I don't feel guilty that I don't do it because I support the club where I can and how I want to. So it's the same with this. And I personally think season tickets this summer will go through the roof. I don't know what they've sold finished on this year. I think Jamie Swinney, I remember him talking about 2,700 or something. I genuinely think we'll break 3,000 season tickets this summer, which would be amazing. And do you know what? If 1,000 people decide to give an extra 20 quid, remember, because it doesn't have to be £60, it could give an extra tenner, 20, 30, £40 on the top of their season ticket.
I mean, I'm certainly going to be adding to my season ticket because, like I said,
stop moaning about it then.
But shut up, you. Ross actually today called me a snowflake, at which point I was ready to drive down to Bainsford and absolutely batter him. But you know, adding to that, because I do feel like, in fairness to the club, they've went with the threes. When you look around at the other teams in the championship and the prices they're charging, it's fair. I think it's a fair ask to.
And I'll tell you one thing, John. See those prices that we talked about earlier today, the ones you've just rounded off, those will go up. Because this year's Dunfermline, Wraith Rovers, Airdrie, that's their season ticket prices this year. I bet they put them up more next year as well. So, this coming season. So even with that, it's a brilliant deal. And
Yeah.
I think if you're regularly going to, and they also do the pay monthly option, I think the club
Yeah.
do as well. So, aye, tons of ways.
Yeah, and I actually think the under 12s thing, because we've as supporters had advantage of that as well for years and years and years. And I know it's subsidised and what have you, but I don't think people would. If you're taking a kid to the game, I know they'll get revenue, but again, catering thing's a whole different thing. But
Yeah.
you'll get revenue because you all know what it's like when you take away into a football match. You're like hot dogs, cokes, and you're spending a fortune in
And they'll go into the shop and buy a scarf. They'll go in and buy a
yeah,
hat
yeah,
or a
yeah, yeah.
flag.
So I mean that goes into but actually I'd have no problem with paying a fiver for an under 12, to go and just go that there's I don't think I'd have an issue with that, because we have been had that good serenity, and that's been a great thing, because I think you see the fruits of the labour when you see the young team in the South Stand now, and that they've grown supporting that way. But yeah, I don't think if there was like a voluntary kind of when you get your under 12 ticket for the kids to go, if there was a voluntary contribution at that point, and then say, well, there's a fiver, because it is. I don't think I've got no issue with that either. So, but anyway, good chat, Ross. Good debate. It'll continue as this. But let's talk about the football now, will we? And let's talk about Hamilton versus Falkirk yesterday. And we do that every week on Falkirk Daft with a guest pundit. And this week's no exception, as we welcome to Falkirk Daft, Dougy Blakeley.
Good afternoon, gents. Good afternoon.
Hey, Doug.
Yeah, recovering. It was a bit of a quieter day. A quieter day yesterday, the intros.
Oh, yeah. Were you behaving yourself yesterday then, Dougy, yeah?
Yeah, with a fairly sedate afternoon. Myself and my brother went to the game, took my brother's kids along, my niece and nephew, with lunch in Glasgow before the game, then 2 pints, but train at Hamilton West, and enjoyed the afternoon. Bit nervous, I must admit. I was a bit nervous to start with.
I think every game at the moment you're nervous, because there's that let's get this down. We'll take it. I mean, we were talking in the pub beforehand saying we'll take a draw, Ross, weren't we? We were just like, just
keep it going.
Three draws till the end of the season. 3 more draws to the end of the season. I'll be quite happy. I'll be honest with you, because done. It's done. So, listen. Thanks for coming on Falkirk Daft, Dougy. We need to ask you, as we every guest pundit, we're gonna have to change the questions for next season, I think. But what was your first game as a Bairn?
No, that's a good question. I probably can't remember that one, John, to be fair, because my first football game wasn't with Falkirk. As a really young kid, as I was born in Edinburgh, but as a really young kid, we moved to Dumfries. So my first ever game of football was way back in 1975. My dad took me when I was just a kid to see Queen's Park, Queen of the South, and all I remember was the pie. Couldn't remember anything about the game, not a thing. But I think, fairness to my dad, he let us make our own choices in football, which was really good. So I really remember going to Falkirk games in sort of mid to late 80s, and thinking about teams like, I was maybe just missed it on maybe Dave Clark, but once it got to guys like Jim Duffy, and I love the Jeffries teams and stuff like that. Yeah. So yeah, I'd probably say mid 80s. I think was the first time I went to see the Bairns. And I got a bit more exciting as you got a bit older. You go to the pub before and stuff.
That always helps as well, and it certainly helps for being a Falkirk supporter. Not so much this season; we've not needed the alcohol as much. But I get you. Who's your favourite player out with the Holy Trinity? Simon Stainrod, Russell Lappy, and Kevin McAllister.
Yeah, I've had a good think about this, and it's really a really difficult one. And I've had to go to think about the managers' teams, and I love Jeffrey's teams. I really did, and Ian McCall's team rolling into John Hughes and stuff like that. But and there's some modern day equivalents. I used to love watching Tommy McKean and think, well, Lee McCann's a bit like that. Players like Yogi, who I like the run through brick walls, and it's a bit like Tam Lang's like him as well. Probably Tam's got more modelling contracts than Yogi ever would, but it's one of them. But I like players who just they're Falkirk through and through. So probably it's really difficult. Really thought about maybe Sam McGillan, but I actually probably Crawford Bartley, just because he was hard as when he played nearly 200 games for Falkirk and stuff like that. What a player. Yeah, I'd say Crawford.
Do you know, it's an interesting question, which I think is probably one for once this season done, Ross, is that you look at the Great Jeffries team, that Ian McCall team for me was that season, the 3-5-2, the players we had. That was probably my favourite Falkirk team.
Yeah.
Does this team go into that? This team will just go into that category, and it'll be an interesting debate. What was, when you look at the great Jeffries team that won the championship, you look at the great Ian McCall team that won the championship, you look at this team that won the championship, it's like, what was the better team? It's an interesting question, I think, for later on.
It definitely is, and yeah, it's one thing we'll probably, once the season's done, we'll probably look back and go, do you know what? We had some special moments, special players this year, and it has to be up there. It has to be up there.
Yeah, especially if it goes invincible, it's a whole thing. It changes the question entirely, I think. But we'll wait and see. Anyway, let's talk about the game. It was Hamilton 0, Falkirk 2. Ross McKeever and Aidan Nesbitt getting the goals for the Bairns, and it was the same team as last week. Ross Wayne, were you surprised?
Do you know how it finished the week before? I actually thought Alfie might have got a start. However, we went with the strongest starting 11 that he probably could do, and so no, there wasn't too many shocks. Alfie would probably been the team, or would have been the change that I thought might have took place. But then you've got Morrison. Would you never start Morrison against Accies, or would you try and fit Alfie somewhere else? It's a tough one.
It's a big question. I mean, you look at obviously the players that he's went with the strongest team, but you feel sorry for when you see that team go out. And I guess this is if we had, say, got beaten earlier in the season by Montrose, and I think there would be more rotation with, say, Ethan Ross coming in, Alfie coming in, maybe Leighton gets a wee shot at right back to see what he can do, Shanley, but I think now the point is McGowan's going, we can do something special here. So he's not rotating as much as he was, say, a couple of months ago.
It's definitely his best team, John, isn't it? I think the only one I would maybe look for a change is bringing Ethan Ross on for the start. But there you go. The game that Miller had yesterday is the right choice again. But this year I was nervous about it. It's like, if we're going to be beaten by anybody this year, let's not be Hamilton. We wanted to stamp it there, and let's see another 3 results, even draws, we've done it. But yeah, I think he picked his best team yesterday, and there's some really good. I thought it was quite difficult to get man of the match just to pick one player. Oh,
well, we'll get to that in a minute. I think there's one man that stood out a mile for me yesterday. But yeah, I mean, 800 Hamilton supporters apparently there, according to.
Were they best as beats, were they?
With about 5 minutes to go, I think I counted about 60. Now there was a surge came in because a young team came in and what have you, but come on, new boys, 800.
That 800 figure must include season ticket holders that didn't bother going, John, because there was never 800. I was looking at it in the first half, and I thought maybe 400 at a push, like maybe 100 of the young team and then a few hundred scattered across the stand. But it was never 800. Obviously, they gave the Falkirk crowd just over 1,400, I think, as well, which was a really, really good crowd with being on TV and the league being done. And it was noisy crowd as well, as we know.
I know. We did. I mean, it was a very good Falkirk crowd that we went to. We went to the Peacock and Ivy before the match. Full Falkirk supporters as well. Good pint in there, actually. I quite enjoyed that in there. But miss that next season.
Wasn't sure about the numbers there, definitely, but I think as it trooped off, as all these hundreds of thousands of Hamilton fans trooped off to the songs of "You've Seen the Champions" and "Effed Off Home." I love that. That was brilliant.
That was a class chant.
It was a very good chant. I thoroughly enjoyed that, and a fair play to Hamilton as well for they did the Guard of Honour. It looks like every team's got to do it for us now, and that was fair play to Hamilton for doing that. Maybe they just did it because it was on the telly. But fair play to the guys, because it must stick in your throat. I mean, we were there obviously last season. Luckily, we didn't have to play Dunfermline after they won it and give them the Guard of Honour, because it would really stick in your throat. But when you're the closest challengers, and 2-0 won yesterday, they've taken a point off us. all season. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a phenomenal achievement, Ross, to walk out of there with, beating them twice at their own
Yeah.
patch.
Exactly. We've went to their own backyard and taught them a football lesson twice now. We convincingly beat them in February at our place as well. And realistically, if you think back to the October game, it was a tense game. It was almost like the two teams were testing each other
They
out,
was feeling each other
not
out,
to
yeah.
not to lose that game.
Yeah.
But as soon as it mattered, it's been us all season, all over them. And as much as they've had a good season, by the way, when you look at it, and
Yeah.
in general, when you look at the points tally, the goals they've scored, they've not had a bad season. They've just missed out. I'm saying just, it's 22 points, it's huge. But in terms of like a 65 points, whatever they're on now, like in a normal season, that would get you there or thereabouts.
Yeah. It's just that we've been so good. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think first half yesterday, I don't think we were a flying best, but I think that was a lot to do with Hamilton, the way they kind of set out against us.
I tell you who was up for it yesterday though. Mr. Tait was up for it yesterday, big time. I thought he was, he was.
From the first kick of the ball,
Oh.
I turned to Ross yesterday, Dougie, and I said, he's either going to have an absolute barnstorm or going to get sent off, because you could just tell from the first kick of the ball what he was all about yesterday.
I thought sometimes he was maybe trying a wee bit too hard to find that worldly pass and stuff like that, but you could tell he was up for it. He wanted to go on display, and he had a good game. He did have a good game.
He did.
He did. He didn't get sent off. We'll get to that in a minute. But I mean, in terms of the first half, Ross, it was. I would say it was easy peasy.
Yeah, I would totally agree. Going in at half time, it had been a bit of a mixed bag. We'd had a couple of half chances, they'd had a couple of half chances. I thought we were probably a bit more. We did a bit more of the ball, and we did a bit more with it. The wind did seem to play a bit of a havoc across the full game, but we seemed to adjust to it a lot better in the second half. I don't know whether because we then had the wind or we didn't have the wind and we were playing on the ground more. But yeah, first half was tight.
I mean,
I don't know if, sorry, John, I was going to say, I don't know if it was. I only seen it on the TV. I didn't see it live. I don't know if it was a penalty. Was it a handball by Jonas?
Apparently so. Apparently it was.
yeah, I didn't see it either, Dougie, but someone had messaged us saying that was who was watching on the telly, saying that should have been a penalty to Falkirk.
Never seen it on the ground, but I looked at it on the TV. Yeah.
I don't think it was in the. I didn't see it in the highlights, the Falkirk highlights that got put out either.
No, I don't think I did either. I'll need to watch Alba back to have a look at that, because it would be interesting to see. But yeah, we were too far away at the game, weren't we, to actually kind of give it a good shout.
Calvin Miller looked back to his best, I think, and certainly he had a few chances in that first half. He burst into the box that time, and where we were thinking is like, why is he not shoot? But you just see he's just taking it a bit too far, and he's tried to cut it back for Big McKeever, and he had another chance as well. I mean, he looked right in the mood for it. I thought last week was one of the and it wasn't bad last week, but I think the Bucky and the Mad Dog had an effect on Calvin Miller last week, but he looked back to his best this week.
Yeah, he was back on it when he came off last week. He looked as though he was breathing heavy, to say the least, But no, he looked back on it yesterday, and I think he probably deserved his place, just slightly ahead of Ethan. But he had a great game, great first half, and like you see, I think he's still in the keeper's gloves with that left foot.
Yeah, it was a good drive, wasn't it? Yeah,
Aye.
it was a really good drive.
Yeah, I mean, like you say though, I think Hamilton, as well as we were playing, I think Hamilton probably had the best chances of that half. Nicky obviously had the save from close in from Stephen Hendry. Good save from Nicky. Good as his confidence well. And your big man Akeem Rose at the back post. You're thinking, I thought, God, he's going to score it, and he just blazed it over the top. Just didn't take his time with it.
Yeah, we got away with that one there. To be fair, and it's not like him, because when we saw him in February, he was potent, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he's been a danger. I mean, I was quite impressed by him when we saw him back in February. He certainly scored goals for Hamilton, but I was kind of nullified yesterday, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Nicky had a good game though. The big difference in the last game at Hamilton, where confidence was high, and he commanded it well. And I know it's month by month, but it'll be interesting to see last game of the season. A new month, one game in a new month.
Do you know what? It's a very interesting point, Dougie. I hadn't even thought of that. I think Nicky keeps the gloves for the last game. He's
I think you should run a poll on that, John. Falkirk Daft poll and.
Joe, it's a good. I love your fact you're producing this show as well, Dougie. That's a great show. But I know. I think the fact he signed the new contract.
Yeah. Sure.
You know, I think, and with Sam going back to Lincoln, I think you've got to give the club someone trophy day. You've got to give the club some. But it will be interesting to see what happens there. But yeah, first half, like I say, Eaksy Peaksy, Hamilton probably the Akeem Rose chance and the Stephen Henry chance probably had the best of the chances. We didn't really make the keeper work as we should have probably. You know, there was a couple of shots straight at him. Maiden Nesbitt had a shot at him. Obviously, you mentioned Calvin Miller as well. But we come out in the second half, and as Falkirk teams tend to have done this season, if we don't score early, we score early in the second half. We actually said at half time, we were going back, when was the last time Falkirk didn't score in a half? And actually we went, Annan was the last time we didn't score in a half. But we came out second half and we didn't have long to wait for the goal, Ross.
No, and it was really, really brilliant. I think it was Callum that was driving in on goal, wasn't it? And then he got the foul.
I can't believe that wasn't a yellow card, by the way.
Totally agree. I didn't think the ref had a great game yesterday, to be honest. Petulant at points as well, and the booking for Spencer just almost 30 seconds into the second half as well, I thought was poor. Anyway, but I can't believe he didn't book him. But Calvin Miller, as soon as you saw where he was standing, the angle he was at.
Yeah, it was about, because we talked about it before, because obviously Morrison had a go on at free kick in the first half, and you had sort of turned to me and said, why is Morrison not taking it? I said, I reckon there must be a deal that if you fucked up the free kick, it's my turn now. And to be fair, it was probably more of a left footer's free kick anyway. And it was a great hit. And by the way, great save from the goalkeeper to put it into the post. But Big Ross is there.
As he does.
He was alive to it, wasn't he? Definitely alive to it. I think Aki's defenders are sleeping there. Makiva comes again. He's
been great at that, Ross, this season. He's always been there and thereabouts. You saw, obviously, his second goal at Montrose where it's palmed out and, you know, he's been there and thereabouts. He's scored a lot of goals like that this season, which is I guess, McGuinn's put into his game and tried to add to his game. And he probably should be in, you know, up there with Callum in the amount of goals he's scored with the chances he's had. But he's done really well there.
He has. His goal contributions this season and the last month has been amazing. Not just the goals he scored, but like if you think back to that Stirling Albion game where he got the flick on for Gary Hall, things like that. He's been such a big player in big games. But right place, right time, just as Dougie says there. And he's only got 12 to go to hit 30. So,
just 12 more. Here we go. I'd mate 4 goals a game. Callum Morrison did 4 goals a game this season, so I'm sure he'll do it. But no, really good. But let's just talk about Dylan Tait's celebration. Brilliant.
Fantastic.
He's obviously was giving it, you know, he was getting it tight from the Hamilton supporters, which you would expect, you know. But the fact he's actually not even celebrating his teammates, just ran over straight to the Hamilton supporters, cupped the ears, and did the old crying thing. Brilliant.
Class.
Absolute superb. Dylan Tait is a champion. Superb.
I'm looking forward to getting that top this year, guys. I'm looking forward to it. I've got that.
Dylan Tait's a champion. Oh, fantastic.
I've got Dylan's away top sponsored. So.
Have you? Brilliant. Oh, brilliant.
That one's coming to me. So he's had some good games in that white top. So
that's a cracker to have as well.
Yeah,
I mean,
and fingers crossed we can keep him as well.
Because let's just remember he scored that absolute brilliant goal at Allo on that top as well, do you?
Yeah, that was a total team goal, wasn't it? You know, just total team. And going back to that game, you know, bringing the subs on and everybody got a goal, came on, but just shows you the strength. But yeah, it was a total team goal. He's a baller, the lad. He's a total baller.
Listen, the boys are a baller. However, I was shouting halfway through that second half. Before we got the second goal, either Brad Spencer or Dylan Tait getting off. I was like, right, bring on Leighton at right back, put Finn into midfield, bring on McGinn and because I thought he's getting sent thought at some point he's going to get sent off here. Brad Spencer as well, I thought. But McGuinn kind of ran the risk on that one. But I was like screaming for him, get him off, get him off.
Before the end of the season, if we get an opportunity, I'd love to see Dylan Tait playing the 10 role. And that's nothing against Nizzy or Gary Goals, but I think he'd be an interesting, have a wee shot in the 10 role.
Let's just talk about Aidan Nesbitt though before he got his goal. My word. And I heard John McGuinn, if you listen to the Falkirk podcast, says that boy covers 12 to 13 kilometres per game. And you can just tell. I mean, we've always talked about Aidan being little McGuinn's favourite, you know, the wee teacher's pet in class. But you know exactly why he is, because that boy yesterday, and in every game this season, and I think, you know, we've had the doubts over Aidan Nesbitt, you know, we talked about him last season. He's been, you know, double figures for goals now. His contributions, as well as goals and assists, has been incredible. That boy works harder than, you know, he just, every blade of grass was covered yesterday. And when it came to the goal, it's just his tenacity that got him that goal. He's in an absolute, you know, you could tell if you were his football manager, you think he'd be the first name you'd put on the team sheet every week.
His goal typified his performance yesterday because, as you said, he covered every blade. He harried every ball that was an opportunity there for him. He was on the heels of Hamilton players constantly, and that's exactly how he got the goal. He was on the back of the boy's neck as soon as there was a sniff of a chance. And he slotted it home, and he more than deserved his goal. If it wasn't Calvin Miller who got man of the match yesterday, for me, it would have had to have been Aidan Nesbitt. I thought he was phenomenal.
I think you're right, Ross. And it's that time of the match as well. It was 80 odd minutes, and he's still hassling, still chasing it down. And
yeah,
I said that I couldn't pick man of the match because for me, I think Alpol went for Calvin Miller, but I think the commentators were mentioning, right, man of the match, Calvin Miller, then Nizzy just stroked it in the corner. It's like, well, that makes it a bit more challenging. But yeah, I think Nizzy might have sneaked it for me.
And what a shame that it was. It was Ben Williamson who'd been in the paper that day looking for his We Beat Falkirk trophy. And that was, you know, sadly taken away from it. I mean, I don't know what the goalie was doing, putting it out to him when there was a man with his back to go, and then Nesbitt, but fair play to Nesbitt, spotted it, boom, nicked it off him, and you're just like, lifts it over the goalie into the back of the net. Superb work from Aidan.
That's an assist for Williamson as well, I think.
Exactly. He can take that credit. He's obviously not very bright, is he? Like, he's just stoked the Falkirk players the day before the game with that chat saying, oh, well, they're due a loss at some point. Do you know what, mate? We probably will get a loss at some point. It might not be this season, and eventually we will get one, right? But it's not going to be down to him. What an absolute idiot. And that haircut, like, I know I can't really talk about hairstyles, but fuck off, mate. What is that he's got on his head? It's like a dead animal. Do you know what I mean?
I don't know if
Ross is a Rangers star, you know, but saying that, there's great. You got a lot of Wikipedia screenshots flying about today going, never played for him, never got an appearance, blah, blah, blah. But yeah.
I looked back on his social media. See when he signed for Accies, he doesn't come across as a bright guy at all. He looks like a guy who would look six ways crossing a one-way street. You know what I mean? He's just a bit thick, if I'm being honest.
By the way, shout before we get to, obviously Aidan got his goal. Great save from Nicky to keep it at 1-0 as well. It was, you know, he got across it so well. And I just think with his distribution yesterday as well, I think you can see the confidence is just coming with Nicky. You know, and like, I think going into next season, you know, if he's going to be our number one, who knows what will happen in the summer. Maybe McGuinn will, you know, we heard on the podcast as well saying it's probably going to be a loan deal, which would suggest it'll be a younger keeper or a more experienced keeper coming in, Ross, which for me then spells out it could be Nicky that could be our number one. And I think I've got no problems with it. I think with you know, more game time that Nicky gets, the more confident he gets. Every time I see him, it looks like he's come on, because we saw his distribution against Cove last week when he knocked that ball right down the wing. Yeah. There's some great balls yet, and his distribution was excellent yesterday, which is obviously part of a modern day goalkeeper. But he also has, as proven yesterday when he denied Lewis Smith with that chance, he's in terms of shot stopping, he's great as well.
Yeah, no, he really is. we need him to be as hot as he is just now as well, because the championship's going to be a tough gig. And we need that strong spine, just as we have had this year, and we have had a strong spine, even if it's been Sam that's been in or Nicky's been in. By and large, like we've been phenomenal in the defensive area, and including the goalkeeper.
Thought Sean Mackey was excellent yesterday as well. Like Sean Mackey, I tried to start chanting Sean Mackey's hard as fuck at some point, because he was just rattling through boys yesterday. Just like Sean Mackey, I love the guy. I really hope we get Sean back into the team. But he's a madman. I love it.
He must have been selling a contract, but surely he's had a great response coming in. Since he's been asked
to come in and play that left hand, I think again, John McGunn mentioned it on the podcast about flicking the two around between McCann and Mackey, but obviously the injury to Hendo means that Sean Mackey's went in at left centre half. But yeah, he's been great. So I'd like to see Sean, and I think he offers cover at that left hand side, and he offers cover at left back. So for me, it kind of works that way, and maybe McGunn's got someone better kind of lined up, but I think Sean Mackey over the piece in the last 5 or 6 games has earned his right, with not only being hard as fuck, but also his assists and what he's contributed to the team as well.
He's definitely made a contribution, John, especially since he's came in. As you said, he's hunger to get every single ball that goes near him is phenomenal. He's a little bit mad at times. Like we talk about
that's what I like about him. He's a bit mental.
we talk
about behind the wall. Was he up on the tables just kicking pints over us? And someone told me, I was just like, "That's brilliant."
We were talking. He's a bit like the monk. Remember from Mean Machine? He's the player he's the player that you let loose at points. But yeah, he's I don't know whether he'll get a new contract. I've not heard. We obviously don't know. If he doesn't get one, it would suggest that John McGlynn has got someone in mind that's even better. But
that's someone in mind be able to cover centre half and left back, because that's the one the thing that Sean Mackey does offer you. He offers that cover, because obviously we're kind of down to the bare bones at the moment in terms of centre half, with Tom being out and Hendo not being fit yet. So like, that's why Sean Mackey's great, because see, if we didn't have Sean Mackey, I mean, who's going to go in at centre half?
It's true.
So yeah. So yeah, 2-0, and we're well worthy of our win. I don't think we came out. I don't think we had to fight for it that much. I don't think we came out of third gear yesterday.
We just played our normal game, didn't we, Dougie?
Yeah, I think it was. Let's say I was nervous at the start, but once we knocked into gear and moved on, I don't think anyone had a bad game. Played really well. Did the job. 3 points up the road. So can't complain. I'd have liked another goal, but that was just my nervousness. But yeah, another great performance, I think.
Yeah. Well, usually at this point we say, let's hear from John McGlynn, but he didn't turn up for his interview. He must have been getting home to watch the Masked Singer or whatever's on Saturday night telly at the moment.
Anne Deck, probably.
Is Anne Deck on? I don't know. We know he's a Strictly man. Strictly doesn't start to September though, so I don't know what's on Saturday night telly. But I think he must have done his bit with the BBC. I know the Falkirk TV boys were having a problem with the gear yesterday because they didn't have the commentary in the first half. I did see they got an interview with Aidan at the end of it as well though. But yes, I'd heard he's lost his voice though. That's why Paul Smith, since with the Winterman throws. But he'd lost a bit of voice, so that's why Paul Smith's been doing a lot of the interviews recently. But yeah, no, we didn't hear from John, but I'm sure he was very happy. I think he was on BBC Alba. I didn't catch the interview, but you've got to be happy with that performance yesterday.
Sure, he will be. He'll be as he's been saying for the last couple of weeks. There's no slacking. That's what I took from his the chat he had with the BBC Alba guys. There's going to be no slacking, no let up. We are going for this now. Calvin Miller was of the same opinion, by the way. He was interviewed at the end of the game and he was like, listen, we want to make history. Let's
I think it was interesting they could get that interview in because the weather conditions were absolutely horrendous.
Yeah, it turned at that point, didn't it?
I'd pretty much turned by that point. But yeah.
The BBC Alba stuff's been great to see the Bairns on TV, but I've officially had enough of half 5 kickoffs.
I don't know. See Saturday at 5:30. I've been loving life with it. It's been great.
You have a wee bit more fun before the game, but your evening's a bit more curtailed after. To be fair,
That's true.
That is true. So it's going to be Friday kickoffs. You into that, do you?
Maybe, yeah. I suppose we're championship.
Gives you a whole weekend, doesn't it? If you're kicking off on a Friday night, I'm pretty sure Falkirk will be on a few Friday night games.
We'll move up from Alba to mainstream coverage, but we've obviously got there because if you set a recorder on Sky now, we're series linked, so there must be a sort of tipping point.
I didn't realise that. We have to do that.
You just have to refresh it once, and we're now a series linked. So
there we go.
Falkirk FC series linked. If we've got one thing out of this season, we go invincible, and we're also available on series linked. Tremendous. Let's go to your views and see what you thought of the game, though. Wee Tam kicks off saying, "Win spoiled the quality of our game at time. However, they were outstanding from the first minute. Leon McCann, Dylan Tait, again, men of the match for me. Wee man never loses a tackle, and he was great again today. 3 to go. Leon McCann, we don't mention him enough in this podcast because he just does his job. And he does it every week, and he does it brilliantly. I'd love the comparison to Tommy McQueen, Dougie, because I think, for a wee guy, he's hard, and he puts himself about, and he, for a wee guy, he's brilliant in the air, and yeah, we don't mention Leon McCann enough in this podcast.
If we get a penalty, I know Callum will be desperate to take it, but Leon would be more than deserving for a chance at goal, wouldn't he? No. Homer's twin says, Ben Williamson, shit patter, shit haircut, shit player. Bairns well on top. Good to get a clean sheet at last as well. I reckon Annan will be a sterner test.
I genuinely am worried about Annan. I thought we win yesterday. I think Annan are the only team we've got left. Potentially Alloa. I think Alloa will probably be okay. By the time we get to them, they'll be probably third, fourth. But I think Annan are still down there fighting. I think that's going to be a really tough, and they gave us a game at the stadium as well. So that is going to be a tough test in a couple of weeks' time. Grant says, easy win, in control for pretty much the entire game. Miller best player in the park, and so unlucky not to score by a country mile, the best team in the league. And Aki's, whose fans went on about having the best squad in the league, are just nowhere near our level.
Indeed. Chris says, what a day, what a team. Miller was unplayable today and Tait was out to prove a point. Nesbitt also outstanding. Everyone played their part. The whole day, however, was topped off with my lad getting the armband for Stephen again. The juggernaut rolls on.
Superb. Love to hear that, Chris. Liam strolled it again and showed that there never was any contest for the title this year. If we had to turn up, we could have, but it would have just been embarrassing for Aki's if we did. Man of the match, Williamson for his assist.
It's true. Yeah. No, listen, we need to give him it. Peter says, might sound a bit daft, but we thought that was one of our best performances this season. Team management, fans all outstanding. Can't say much more. Fucking magic. Come on, the Bairns.
Brilliant. By the way, Peter didn't say that. He just he was very polite and put little dots. Ross just filled in the dots for you there, Peter. Lynn says, around 800 Hamilton fans, were half of them dressed as seats.
It's very true. Ewan says, season in a nutshell for me, utterly dominant, and looking forward to watching this gang in the championship next season.
Absolutely. Paul says, thought Tait and Nesbitt were outstanding today. The hunger and desire on display at the stage of the season is incredible. This team never failed to amaze me. Some effort, taking 10 points from the best squad in the league. Come on, you Bairns. We're never going to let that go, are we?
No, we're not. Not at all. And finally, I think it's our old pal from Australia, Willie Stroker. Hamilton FC got cummed on.
There we go. Brilliant. Listen, Dougie, thanks for coming on and being our guest pundit today. You were friends with Gary Hill and just wanted to make awareness of bowel cancer, didn't you?
Yeah, thanks, John. It was a conversation I was having earlier in the season up at Macrows with Ross, and I was a classmate of Gary's, and since coming back to Scotland, I'd been living in Yorkshire for a few years there, and I heard sadly that Gary had passed, and had the conversation, and I've ended up in a similar situation where I came back to Scotland and I took part in the bowel screening programme, and I got a diagnosis of bowel cancer. I'm 1 year down the line from my operation, and I'm feeling great. All scans are clear. And I just wanted to have the opportunity to get the message out there about the bowel screening programme in Scotland, because we're really lucky. We're really lucky in Scotland. It runs from year 50. In other parts of the UK, it's much later, and that can be key to picking up the symptoms. So It's one of my little things just to, and I don't talk about it for sympathy or empathy or any of that. It's just awareness that if you're not feeling right, go and see the doctor, go and do something about it. And there's some simple symptoms. So one of my little missions before the end of the season is to get up and have a conversations with the club to say, look, we put some awareness posters up, even in the toilets, the little A5 thing, gives you a little bit of rundown what you might experience, because the longer you leave it, the worse it can get. And they caught it earlier than me, and I'm really fortunate. And I think it's been probably one of the toughest 18 months of my life, but actually looking forward to Saturday, watching the Bairns win, has been a fantastic boost for me right through the season, and it's been excellent. And it's one of the things men don't talk about their health enough, but bowel cancer can affect men and women, so we just need to be aware of it. And
no, it's a good shout out, Dougy, and I think we know Jamie listens to the podcast. I don't know if it religiously, but we know he listens to the podcast. So if he's listening to this, Jamie, drop us a wee message, and we'll put the two of you guys in touch as well, and hopefully we can get those up for the last couple of games this season.
Yeah,
thanks guys. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Dougy. Really appreciate you being a guest pundit this week. If you want to be like Dougy, drop us an email right now, pundit@falkirkdaft.co.uk. We'll get you on next season. You can slide into our DMs on Twitter or Facebook as well.
This is Falkirk Daft.
Right, okay, so Hamilton's done. 3 more to go, Ross. And Kelty are next up at the stadium. What are you thinking?
I think we'll absolutely hump them, John.
yeah, they're in no man's land pretty much now. I mean, they've got an outside chance they've still got a chance of actually making the playoffs. They're on 43 points. Montrose on 47. Are real outside. They're in really good form. One thing you'd say about Kelty is they've won 4 out of their last 5. They're in really good form coming in. But they still have an outside chance of making the playoffs.
Which would be phenomenal. It really would. And I'm sure they'll be well up for this. Some of the scorelines have suggested otherwise this year, but we've had tight games with Kelty. The last one wasn't the sort of prettiest win that we've had either. So they will come and have a go. I just think us at home, the way we're playing just now, I think we may well get an early goal, which could lead to a few more going in. But yeah, I think our confidence is just so high just now. I don't think it matters. Look at Hamilton yesterday; they were massively up for that game yesterday, and they couldn't lay a glove on us. And Kelty's not as good as Hamilton, so that's why I think a 1-0 Kelty win. But I genuinely think we'll put a few goals past them next Saturday.
Aye, so 7 times we've played them, 4 wins for the Bairns, 2 wins for Kelty, and 1 draw. Aye, I want to see. They've got some good players, Kelty. The boy Alfie Bajovic, they've got him loan from Aberdeen, scored a decent amount in the Scotland under-19 international. And Tidser does have them well drilled, and Michael Tidser's done a good, decent job with Kelty to where they are, and the fact they're in touching distance of the playoffs, that will certainly give them insight. I actually thought they were miles out of it, but looking at the table, they've still got a chance.
No, they've secured their safety, which is probably their
that was priority.
But as you say, they're within touching distance. Results depending, that they could end up sneaking into 4th place. That said, I think if we were to beat them quite comfortably next week, or just beat them, it would probably knock that chance away, because obviously they're then hoping that Montrose don't beat Edinburgh in the rearranged game. They're then hoping Montrose don't pick any more points up. So it probably is a bit unlikely, but you never know. But yeah, the last 2 games against them, the one in December and the one in February, it was tough.
Talking about that, I think Montrose play Edinburgh on Tuesday, so 50 points, actually, they can still do it, but it's very unlikely. So hopefully that knocks the stuffing out of them. But yeah, they're safe, and they're maybe looking, just they'd be quite happy with that, I would guess. But yeah, so what do you think the score's going to be?
I think we'll score a few goals. I'm going to go 3-0 Bairns. What are you thinking?
I am going to go. I'm going to take a draw. No, I'll go 2-0, but secretly I'll take a draw.
I'll take a draw.
Every single song between now, 3 games, 3 draws is fine. We're happy with that. Especially Annan away, which I think will be our toughest test. But yeah, I'll take 2-0 Falkirk. But yeah, 3 o'clock kick-off at the stadium as well. It's nice to be back to 3 o'clock at the stadium. So that'll be just something a bit unique for the last couple of weeks, which we've been used to. But 3 o'clock stadium this Saturday. Falkirk versus Kelty. Still going invincible. Fingers crossed.
This is Falkirk Daft.
And that is it, my friends, for this week's Falkirk Daft. Thank you very much for listening or watching us. So you can get us on Apple, Spotify, or YouTube if you want to see our beautiful faces. Remember, buy merch. It's unofficial, but you can buy it. merch.falkirkdaft.co.uk. And as I say, don't you worry, we're not one of these hagglers for Glasgow that stand outside the flag with the flags. Our money goes back goes back into the club because Ross makes us do it. So so if you buy any merch, the money goes back into the club. That's what we're saying, and not into our pockets or not into some witchy's pockets. Get involved with that. And remember our competition. If you want to win our champions thing, just turn a Falkirk player into a game. Have you thought of one yet?
Do you know, I've not. This is going to take some. I want to come up with a belter. So
Ross will get back to you on that one next week. I'll take him a
with me and I'll come back. That's the first question I want you to ask me next week is what board game have I thought of?
Okay, well, look out for our socials and we'll get you the chance to win this Champions Subbuteo print. Thank you very much for Matthew G. Wright on that. Brilliant. Onwards to the stadium next week. We're all loving Dylan Tait. He is a champion. And thank you very much for City Falkirk Daft. And until next time,
expect the unexpected, buddy, as always.